Welcome once again, nerds, to the Week in Nerdom, your weekly nerd news update for all things pop culture and, the like. In today's episode, we have tours that just won't stop. They keep coming. We've got apparently the Daily Wire are a bunch of metalheads, conservative metalheads. Is that even a thing? Apparently. And then we have new Chat GPT update just rolled out this morning, as well as an update on The Last of Us Season 2, Constantine, the sequel with Keanu Reeves, and a very interesting Xbox console gaming rumor that we're going to get into, amongst other things. Thank you very much once again for joining Nerds. Let's get into all of the things, shall we? All right, so in housekeeping for this episode, I apologize if I look tired, for those of you who can see my face. Also, yes, I realize I don't have my glasses on, which is making watching the monitor a little difficult, not gonna lie, but it is like 1 o'clock in the morning. I spent all day today on a mountainside. I will be halfway disposed of for half the day tomorrow when I normally edit these bad boys. So I'm trying to get the work in where I can. So my apologies if today's episode's a little low energy by comparison, though I don't know if I'm capable of a low energy news show. So as far as the other things go, I think next week there is no issues, but it looks like every other week from now on there's going to be a Tuesday hiccup until roughly the end of spring. So we'll have one solid episode and one episode I'm trying to throw together back and forth like that for a couple of weeks. But otherwise, we should be in good shape as far as like legitimate scheduling conflicts go. That's not happening, I believe, until like the middle of April when we're starting to get into concert season and I start to try to get interviews with said musician types. So yeah, that's going to be a whole hell of a lot of fun. And then we're into con season, and I'm still trying to take a look at what scheduling is going to be. If you have, a preferred con that I have. It's hard for me to get out of the Colorado, Arizona, Utah area, generally speaking. So if you have a preferred con in that general area, let's have the conversation in the comments or on the social medias, which one of those you think I should go to and try to get interviews with authors or, guests of some sort. Salt Lake, Denver, and I'm gonna try and make Phoenix happen as well in the not too distant future, though I don't know if this year is the first year we're going to do that, but it is on the list of things. So anything beyond those, let's have that conversation. So I think that's everything for housekeeping. I know I'm rambling a little bit, but that's all we got for the housekeeping. Just to keep you informed, we will be doing a regular live episode this Friday night. So once again, join around about 7:30 Mountain Standard Time Friday nights. And you can join the conversation a little more directly rather than just leaving in comments or finding me on socials. So there you go. All that being said, we've got news to discuss. So let's do the news, shall we? Let's jump into the music section. In today's music section, we've got new music from Avenged Sevenfold, Wes Borland, and others. We're talking Death Clock Tour. We're talking Bury Your Dead reunion shows, and honestly, a bunch of news stuff to talk about. So without any further ado, new music for this episode. First of the new music is Avenged Sevenfold's new song, Nobody. This comes from the recently announced Life is But a Dream record. That album is out June 2nd. And man, this song is kind of Avenged Sevenfold's take on industrial metal. a la Queen. It's a very, like, this is very intriguing, and that's saying something because this is the first time that they've put out something that's intrigued my ear since Bat Country. I love early Avenged Sevenfold. I think there are very few records in the metalcore subgenre better than Waking the Fallen and Sounding the Seventh Trumpet. Since then, they've kind of fallen off my radar in a lot of ways, though I am still aware that they are doing the thing. That's not to say this is a recommend necessarily. This is a tread cautiously. Then we have a new one from Buckcherry. That's right, the crazy bitch folk. Buckcherry put out a new song called Good Time. This is coming from a new record as well, Volume 10, also due out June 2nd. I think these guys just like, all right, so what's a cool phrase that's gonna be really easy to write a catchy riff around and then get played at college parties across the nation? Hey, let's have a good time. That's easy. Nothing new under the sun as far as Buckcherry is concerned. This is a catchy riff. They are really good at doing the catchy stuff with their rock and roll. And honestly, there's no soul here. There's nothing really to draw you in if you are like a deeper music aficionado. If you just want a good banger, then there you go. Next up is Fit for an Autopsy, and we're keeping with this whole new song, new record announcement thing. Fit for an Autopsy just released the new track, Hellions, that is coming from a three-way split record that they are doing. The other two bands on the three-way split are Thy Art is Murder and Malevolence. It is coming out April 7th, and this first song, again, Hellions from Fit for an Autopsy, this is definitely deathcore at its greatest. There's a lot of good helping, I guess I should say, of new wave of American heavy metal in their sound. This harkens back, though, to the earlier days of Fit for an Autopsy, and I am definitely here for it. If you like stupid heavy music, the new Hellions track is just phenomenal. And we've talked about it. We talked about it actually in the live stream, and now I have actually listened to the new Wes Borland album. The name of the album is Mutiny on the Star Barge. It is a 9-track thing. I'm pretty sure Wes is on record describing this as an ambient album, and that's not what this is. I believe I also read that it was borderline cinematic music, and that I can kind of see. This is definitely exposing his Mr. Bungle influence pretty hardcore, and also I get this weird like Ween kind of vibe from it. So if any of those bands sound familiar, if you have a strange thing about Wes Borland, like most music aficionados do anymore, as far as like heavy metal and things, yeah, this is gonna be one you're gonna want to check out just for the spectacle. That's all the new music. Let's talk about tours and festivals. We've got some really exciting stuff going on in here. So first up, we have Deathclock has officially announced some live dates. It's not exactly what you're thinking though. So the band has been added to the Blue Ridge Rock Festival in September, as well as the Aftershock Festival in October. So they will be there. It is Brennan Small and company. I think Gene Hoglan is still sitting on the drums for him. And it's just gonna be awesome. There in the announcement, it sounds like there is a possibility we will be seeing a proper tour from Deathclock, so stay tuned for details on that. Otherwise, if you are getting tickets for Blue Ridge or Aftershock, now you just have even more reason. And if you weren't before, maybe you should reconsider that decision. Moving on to our next touring update, we have Machine Head has announced a tour. The name of the tour is the Electric Happy Hour Live Tour. It will kick off May 15th in Ventura, California, ends in Los Angeles on June 9th. There is a pre-sale you can get a part of 10 a.m. I believe on Friday, and the code word for the tour for the pre-sale tickets is electric. So go do that if you want to go see Machine Head. Then we have Clutch also announcing a new tour, which is pretty awesome. Back on the road, they're taking this time Dinosaur Jr. as well as Red Fang, which is such an interesting combination of bands. Like, I can see Clutch going on tour with either of those two bands, but those two bands together is definitely going to be, again, a spectacle. This one also has a pre-sale code, BBM Clutch 2023. That's right, but I'm just using the blabbermouth pre-sale. But yo, if you want to go see Clutch, it's definitely worth it. The tour is starting off July 21st in Washington, D.C., runs through August 5th in Denver, Colorado. So yeah, it's going to be a bit of a trek, but that's usually how the dudes in Clutch do it. Then we have Bullet for My Valentine. We actually kind of talked about these guys previously in a tour updates because they are going on tour with Megadeth, but they have a shortish run before they join up with the dudes in Megadeth. It's going to be running from May 18th in Daytona Beach, Florida. It goes through May 28th, so 10-day trek in Detroit, Michigan. The band that they are taking on this short trek is From Ashes to New. Still haven't listened to these guys, judging by the name of the band, which I know is horrible of me, but I don't know. I feel like there's a lot to be said about the packaging, and I'm not a fan of the packaging. So I do kind of dig Bullet for My Valentine, so I am intrigued to see them live, but you know, it kind of is what it is. This is the second biggest announcement, I think, or actually maybe the third, because the Death Clock thing was pretty huge as well, but super excited either way. Bury Your Dead is doing reunion shows. That's awesome if you live in New York or Massachusetts, because 3 of the 4 shows are in New York, Brooklyn, Bronx, so on and so forth, and then they have 1 show in Worcester, Mass. So that sucks, but there is something super noteworthy about these reunion shows. In 3 of the 4 shows, they are bringing back the 2 previous vocalists for the band, those being Mike Terry and Joe Kruko. And for that 4th, actually the first of the 4 reunion shows, it is only going to be Joe Kruko. Mike Terry will not be a part of that first show. No exact reason was given, just kind of is what it is. The dates for these 4 shows are March 16, 17, 18, and 19. So again, if you live in the New York area or the Massachusetts area, then you're welcome, and I'm super damn jealous of you. But let's move along. Our next one, this is the other one that I'm super stoked about, and that is Unearth. Not just Unearth, but Unearth and Upon a Burning Body are going on tour together. They're taking out with them a band I've never heard of, 156 Silence. I don't really know who that is, but they're taking them on tour. It's actually kind of a lengthy tour. It was about 2 months. I, for whatever reason, don't have the exact dates, but I do have a link to the exact dates down in the show notes, so go check that out. Yeah, Unearth is just fan-freaking-tastic, so if they're coming near you, you like the heavy music, you're welcome once again. All right, so that's what we got for tours and festivals. Let's get into regular ass news. For music, we've got a piece from Metallica. So Metallica is doing weird things in their old age, and this isn't exactly a weird thing, but it's a pretty eclectic thing, I guess is a way to put that. But they just bought the majority interest in a vinyl record pressing company. This is the company that has pressed the vinyl for their, I believe, 5 of their records in recent history. The name of the company is Furnace Record Pressing, and yeah, I mean, what else are they going to do with all those millions of dollars just sitting in a bank somewhere? Lord knows if it's Lord knows it better not be Silicon Valley Bank, but that's a whole other piece of news that we're not going to get into. So yeah, it's pretty awesome. Metallica pressing records for the fans, literally. Next, we have a piece from Slash. This is also musician doing things outside of music, kind of. The previous one was less so, this one more so, but Slash, the Guns N' Roses guitar player, if you don't know who the hell Slash is, has launched a movie production company with a couple of other similarly minded folk. The name of the company is called Berserker Gang. They will focus primarily on horror. And yeah, this is just Slash saying, I wanted to make movies that I wanted to see because there's not a lot of those out there these days. So again, what else is he going to do with those millions that are just sitting in his bank account, right? Might as well put it to some work and make a few more and make the fan base happy at the same time, I would say. That is what we have for regular ass news, which leaves us with music suggestion for the week. This one's going to be a little bit different because it's not directly a music suggestion. Usually we talk about a new album that's come out or a classic album or just something that's really good that maybe got skipped by the community. And this time is a YouTube documentary put out by The Daily Wire. History and Culture is the name of the channel. Link in the description. Go watch this. Metalheads are, why metalheads are happier people. This is awesome. I mean, we've talked about a number of these studies in episodes previously, years ago. We have talked about studies like this previously, years ago, in different videos, and now it's just getting much more mainstream outlet attention, so that's awesome. Go check it out. Let's talk about some gaming and tech pieces. In gaming and tech, we've got ChatGPT-4 just kind of, sort of launched. We're going to talk about that, as well as Marvel digging into Reddit and shutting stuff down, man. So yeah, we've got that and a couple other things, so let's get into it. First up in the follow-ups and corrections, we have a follow-up on the Hitman 4 situation. IO Interactive has given an update on Hitman 4. They are putting it on the back burner, so to speak. It's not canceled. It's there was no release date, so they're not moving the release date. They're just not focusing on Hitman 4. It is in very, very early stages of development, meaning the team assigned to that project is very, very small. I would imagine somewhere in the neighborhood of 3 to 5, because primarily their focus is the new 007 game that they can't officially announce, but they kind of did in this statement. And also there will be continued support for Hitman 3 up until the 007 game launches. So if you are a fan of Hitman 3, fret not, because you are still going to be getting some love from IO Interactive. That's what we got there. Let's move over to our other one. We've been keeping tabs on this one a fair amount, actually. ChatGPT is a thing that's everywhere, and this technically, it deals with ChatGPT, but it's more directly GPT-4. So the base subset of knowledge that the chat bot is programmed with, I think they put that in simple enough terms, it just got an upgrade. But it's kind of not 100% launched just yet. If you are a current payer for ChatGPT Plus, if you are paying, I believe it's $20 a month to use the increased abilities of Plus, then you can now select 3 different AI models. You can do ChatGPT 3.5, you can do 3.5 Legacy, and now you can do GPT-4. GPT-4 is a lot more comprehensive, is a lot smarter. It still can't access the internet just yet, but that's because it hasn't 100% rolled out. The developers at OpenAI did a live stream kind of showing off some of the new abilities of GPT-4 that have not rolled out for the general public or even the paying public yet. These rollouts are going to happen slowly over the course of the next couple of weeks. They didn't say that explicitly, but that seems to be the direction they're going. And that's kind of how ChatGPT has worked since launch, is every few weeks you kind of get a little bit of an update. It gets a little sharper, a little so on and so forth. So very interesting. This just some of the stuff that they talked about, or that they showed in that live stream, was highly impressive. The AI bot created a whole website, an entire HTML code base based off of a picture that the developer took of a very poorly drawn website that he did by hand. He took a picture of the drawn by hand thing, uploaded that into GPT-4 because it is multimodal, which the multimodal aspects of GPT-4 are the things that very much remain to be rolled out to the public. But yeah, once they are rolled out, they are going to be insane. Just saying. So yeah, GPT-4 is a thing. Let's move on. Let's get into some regular ass news. In regular ass news, we got Marvel shutting down the subreddit of Marvel Studios spoilers. They're taking legal action. They're threatening legal action at the very least, because confirmations were needed as to whether or not they had taken said action just yet. But they are threatening legal action against the moderators of the spoiler subreddit because of Ant-Man, it would seem. Ant-Man, that leak that we touched on in the rumor mill very briefly, just because we don't really do the leaks so much on Generally Nerdy, but that leak that I mentioned it, I made you aware that it was a thing. If you wanted to go find it, you could do that yourself. Yeah, that was legit. That was the thing, and so now Marvel's threatening lawsuits. So what happened is that subreddit has been made private by the mods. That's all we really know at the moment. If more comes to light from this, we will definitely be keeping tabs on it. But yeah, that's pretty nuts. That's all we got for gaming and tech, except for gaming and tech suggestions. With the launch of the remake, Metroid Prime is the suggestion this week. The classic GameCube game. Metroid Prime is honestly one of the greatest FPSs. Potentially the greatest FPS on the GameCube, but one of the greatest FPSs in the history of console gaming. Absolutely worth a play. If you don't have the remake downloaded on your Switch, maybe you've got a GameCube kicking around somewhere in your garage or something, go plug that bad boy in and play Metroid once again, because it is classic gaming at its best. Comic books and books for this episode is gonna be pretty DC-centric. We have Grant Morrison returning to the DC fold. We also have the Dawn of DC initiative, I believe is a campaign. I'm sorry, campaign. Dawn of DC campaign is rolling out some stuff, so we got to talk about that. That's a lot of things in and of itself, so let's just jump right in. First up, Grant Morrison returning for Multiversity, the book that he started with the New 52 years ago that kind of didn't really go anywhere because they've since rebooted the universe again because, you know, DC. But Grant is returning. This is one of the greatest comic book authors of all time, and honestly, probably one of the most divisive comic book authors of all time. I might have referred to Grant as he, and we're supposed to refer to them as they. So Grant has recently come out as non-binary, gender fluid, something. So yeah, that's the divisiveness, but this is going to be part of the 2023 DC Pride special issue. I believe this is the third year that they've done this. Makes sense that Grant Morrison would be the one that they bring in to do this because, again, non-binary things. It's going to be a prestige format book, 104 pages, due out May 30th. There's a bunch of other stuff in that book aside from the Grant Morrison story for Multiversity, but I mean, come on, it's Grant Morrison. How is that not the only thing that we need to talk about to make you want to check out that book or not check out that book? Yeah, either way, That's how it goes. So let's talk about the Dawn of DC. Dawn of DC, they have announced 3 new books as well as 2 very special books for the Dawn of DC campaign. Those 3 new books is we have the Dawn of DC Primer. So presumably, because it's called the Primer, it's going to be coming out before the rest of the things. This is a free book. May 16th is when you'll be able to see it in comic book shops. Again, free book. I think that might be comic book day, free comic book day, because that's usually within the first 2 weeks of May is generally when they have it. I don't remember what free comic book day is going to be for 2023, so we'll probably have to do a follow-up on this next week. But yeah, May 16th when you can get the free DC Primer. It's going to be an Amanda Waller book, written by Joshua Williamson, art by Leandro Fernandez. Dawn of DC's secrets, threats, and connective stories in 2023 and beyond. Again, going to be a big one, even though it's free, so that's going to be cool. Next is the new Steelworks book. This is super freaking noteworthy because it is going to be co-written by none other than Michael Dorn, whom I have had the pleasure of interviewing. I'm super excited to talk about that. But yeah, Michael Dorn will be writing the not-to-be-missed Steelworks, art by Sammy Basri, who's done previous work with Harley Quinn. The real quick synopsis is: the metropolis of the future is here today. Can it survive a terrorist who's out for revenge against its builder, John Henry Irons, aka Steel, and his company, Steelworks? Yeah, just the fact they're roping in Michael Dorn to do this, I'm kind of excited about that because Dorn is such a unique voice in the nerd community. Yeah, I will reference the interview that I did with him probably till the end of time because he's one of my favorite next gen stars. So yeah, love Michael Dorn. Pretty awesome. Let's move to the next one, and the next book is Hawk Girl. We have a new Hawk Girl book that was announced for DC's Dawn of DC campaign. Oh, it's such a mouthful. Hawk Girl is going to be a brand new adventure with sky-high action. Adventure intrigue begins in Hawk Girl by Jadzia Axelrod, who's previously done Galaxy, the Prettiest Star, and Amanse. I am not going to say these names correctly, and I apologize. See, I'm tired. It's 1 a.m. Amanse Nahuelpan, I think is maybe how that's said, who has previously worked on Wonder Woman. That's all they really gave us for that one. So the 2 books, the 2 special edition books, I should say, are the 800th issue of both Flash and Wonder Woman. So Flash 800, DC Comics is relaunching the Flash after 800. Kind of. The legacy numbering is going to continue, but they're going to start a new story arc that starts with number 1. The book 800 is going to be written... Where's the team? I have it in the notes. I know I put it in here. There we go. Some of the team, anyway. Iconic creators including Simon Spurrier and Mike Diodato Jr. These 2 are also going to be the new creative team as of September when that new number 1 rolls out for the Flash. I believe after Flash number 800, they shift focus over to Wally West, if I'm remembering the announcement properly. Next is that Wonder Woman book that we talked about a second ago. DC Comics announcing new creative team for Wonder Woman. It's going to be also an 800. So Wonder Woman 800, Flash 800, both are going to be prestige format books. Going to be really big. Number of authors, artists, so on and so forth. It's going to upcoming run with Tom King, Daniel Sampierre, who will be the creative team as of number 1, also starting in September. Before that, Wonder Woman 800 will feature the conclusion of Becky Cloonan and Michael W. Conrad's Whatever Happened to the Warrior of Truth, and contributions from Joel Jones, Jen Bartel. That's the one that I had all of the many more anyway of the creative team involved. Jen Bartel, Daniel Sampierre, and others. Wonder Woman 800, Diana Battles to escape vivid dreams, and the future of her role as Wonder Woman is uncertain. Though, obviously, if the story continues past issue 800, not that uncertain. Just saying, comic books. Let's talk now about comic books and books. Suggestions for the week. Suggestion this week, I'm gonna say go Convergence. It's New 52, so it's pretty back and forth. Like, it's one of the shorter books from the New 52. It's one of the more all-encompassing books from the New 52. It's some of the better writing from the New 52. So yeah, Convergence, I really dig it. Go check it out. That is your suggestion for the week. Let's talk TV streaming. In today's TV streaming section, we're talking about Keanu Reeves might not be coming back as Constantine. We're going to get into that, as well as Last of Us Season 2 details, baby. And yeah, some Superman stuff that's kind of out of left field. So let's talk about all of these things. First up in follow-ups and corrections. The first piece is Constantine 2. Keanu Reeves said recently that the sequel is being, quote, re-evaluated. Said something along the lines of he's not sure if they want him to come back to that role, which we've speculated that this might happen, so it shouldn't really come as a shock that this is happening right now. Hopefully, though, James Gunn will see it as an Elseworlds possibility and keep it moving forward, because he is into fan service, and this would be a pretty different kind of fan service. Because if you're a fan of the Hellblazer, right? John Constantine. If you're a fan of those books, the John Constantine books, I'm pretty sure it's Hellblazer, then the Keanu Reeves movie's not really anything like the Hellblazer books. But it still has this weird place in your heart, right? Because Keanu Reeves, kind of sort of comic book adaptation and just bizarre craziness. So yeah, again, it would be a different kind of fan service, because these are not your normal comic book fans that really love this movie, which means there's probably a lot more people who love this movie than other comic book movies that are a little more niche like that. Okay, so yeah, hopefully this doesn't go south. We will be keeping tabs on it as we continue. Let's move over now to Last of Us Season 2. We actually have a couple of updates on Season 2. First up, there is in fact going to be a Season 2, and very likely, at the very least, a Season 3. So Season 2 is going to be happen, and it is going to be split into, it's going to be based on the second game, which makes sense because they really rushed through getting to the end of the first game in order to make Season 1, which is a whole other conversation we are going to have in this week's That Just Happened episode, so make sure you tune in for that. But yeah, so it's going to be based on the second game. It is going to be told over the course of at least 2 seasons, though they have very specifically not been specific about how many seasons they intend to stretch that story over, because yeah, it makes more sense. You have these very impactful moments that really, the build up to these moments, as we learned in Season 1, could be an entire season's worth of build up. So yeah, I think they're realizing that now, because again, Game of Thrones, we split some of those books into multiple seasons, the 2 seasons specifically, but I don't know, different way of storytelling. The other piece that we have on this is also related to Season 2, and that is that it's going to be different. It is going to still be based on the game. The broad strokes are going to be the second Last of Us game, but showrunner Craig Mazin has said that Part 2 will be different from the game. There is no specifics as to what they're planning on changing, though if you are a fan of the series, or at least casually aware of the controversy that surrounds the second game, then you kind of have an idea of what very probably is going to be adjusted. I don't think they're going to get rid of the divisive elements. Again, trying to keep this fairly vague. I don't think they're going to get rid of the divisive elements entirely. I think they're going to tell the story better. I think they learned a lot from season 1, and they learned a lot from the blowback of game number 2, and they're going to take that combined knowledge and give us something much, much better, I hope. Moving right along though, next we have The Acolyte, the Sith-based Star Wars series that is going to be coming to Disney Plus. Was supposed to be coming to Disney Plus, I believe, by the end of 2023, has now been moved back to 2024, which seemingly confirms rumors that we talked about a few weeks ago, and then what we talked about last week with Iger saying, all right, we gotta slow down with this output because we're not doing our best, and we need to be doing our best in order to make money. And they are a company whose interest is money, so that makes sense. That's all we got for that though. Next is a follow-up on the Nevers situation. So the HBO Max series that was done by Joss Whedon only got one season on HBO Max, didn't even get the entire season that they filmed, just the first 6 episodes, 6 out of 12 episodes. So it got removed from HBO Max. We've talked about this as a TLDR. It got removed from HBO Max and then got picked up by Tubi. And if you, like me, went over to Tubi a couple of weeks ago and then again last week and went, all right, it definitely should be here. Where the hell is it? Well, let me explain. So if you, again, want to watch this Nevers series, it is on Tubi. It's just not on demand on Tubi. So you have to watch, and I haven't been able to find what channel it's supposed to be on, because Tubi, like other free streamers, has free live television, which is really just a stream of old things that they have the rights to stream. But still, it's good stuff on there. So yeah, it is going to be, they do it in chunks. So if you don't catch the chunk, it doesn't cycle that often. It cycles like once every 2 weeks or something along those lines. So yeah, and it's over the course of 3 days, and it's going to be very difficult if you have, you know, like a day job or a life to catch this. But it kind of is what it is. Hopefully, eventually it does get pushed over to the on-demand side of Tubi, but who knows? That's all we have for follow-ups and corrections, so let's talk about some regular-ass news. In regular-ass news, this one's a lot of fun. This is my first exposure to the character of Superman. The 1940s Max Fleischer Superman animated movies, series, things, cartoons are going to be released on Blu-ray come May. These are iconic. If you've never seen, I believe this is the first instance of animated Superman, not the first instance of Superman on screen, because I'm pretty sure there was a live action one before the animated one, and then also kind of similarly related, there were a bunch of radio plays before television was a thing. So not the earliest instance of Superman in the mass pop culture, but earliest instance of animated Superman as far as I know. It's great. The Max Fleischer stuff is fantastic. I used to have VHSs of most, if not all of them when I was a kid, and totally worth a watch as soon as it launches. Again, coming out in May. Couldn't find the specific day in May, but I would imagine sometime in the first 2 weeks. Just throwing that out there, seeing what sticks. That's what we got for regular ass news though. Let's talk now suggestions in TV streaming. Suggestion is Mandalorian Season 3, Episode 2. The reason I'm suggesting you go watch this episode, or maybe catch up and then watch this episode, 2 words. Mythosaur. Or Sar, whatever. Mythosaur is a thing. Go watch it. Just saying. Now let's talk about movies. Movies is going to be quick because we really only have 2 pieces to talk about. The Little Mermaid trailer came out, and that's a thing that we need to get off our chest. And then Evil Dead. Sam Raimi's chiming in on the Evil Dead. He might be producing, but we're going to get into Sam Raimi's future with the Evil Dead. First up, though, let's talk about Little Mermaid. In the trailer, at least so far, it looks pretty bland. Like, I don't know, man. I'm trying to see past, like, all right, let's do a little bit of a nerd rant real quick, shall we? I don't care about race swapping characters to a certain degree. In this instance, because it is historical fiction, there is certain elements, and we've talked about this on the channel previously. The series Hollywood on HBO, or on Netflix rather, is a prime example of this. If you are changing history to any degree, I know this is fiction because mermaids don't exist. I'm not stupid. But if you're going back in time into a land where people of a darker complexion, let's say, were not exactly welcome, and you're giving one of your new characters a darker complexion and making her into a princess, by and large, for all intents and purposes, Ariel becomes a princess of the I don't remember exactly where the town or what kingdom it is or whatever. Might be France, might be England. I think it's left vague on purpose, but again, I haven't watched The Little Mermaid for 25 years. Yeah, so if you are changing a character, like, that needs to be addressed somehow. Like the whole Bridgerton situation is actually, they address it. They talk about, well, this is how we're writing this the historical fiction. It doesn't look like her skin color is going to be addressed and it should. If it were a new story that wasn't going back into this specific time in history, then yeah, I don't really care about the color of Ariel's skin. But again, we're doing historical fiction. So if you're putting it in a time in history, these things have to be addressed. You can't just do what kind of sort of looks like, and Javier Bardem as the Sea King looks pretty cool. But again, like, he's not going to the surface to be part of that world, right? So him being race swapped is irrelevant. It's fine. It is what it is. But Halle Berry, I think is her name, being a black character in olden days, I believe, again, France, she would be stolen and like sent off into slavery. Like, how is this hard to understand? I don't know. I'm just, again, going off on a little bit of a side tangent rant situation because it could be a good movie. I just don't think they're going to do the things required to make it a good movie. So yeah, that's what we got there. That's, I guess, my thoughts on it, and now I'm gonna get hung out to dry on the internet. Yeah, there you go. So that's what we got for trailers. Let's talk about some regular ass news. We're talking Evil Dead. Sam Raimi coming back to the franchise. I know he never really left because he's executive producing the reboot sequel thing that's going on, that's coming out very soon. But also he said in an interview with Empire that not only is he not done with the franchise, but he might be directing again in the future. And if that happens, then we're probably going to be seeing Bruce Campbell, the one and only, in The Evil Dead once again. I thought Bruce Campbell was retired. This is so crazy. If we get more about this, we'll be talking about it for sure. But that's all we really got about the future of the Evil Dead series. I might have just said The Walking Dead. If I did, I apologize. I meant to say Evil Dead because Evil Dead is what Sam Raimi did. Frank Darabont does The Walking Dead, and that's a whole different thing. Yeah, so that's what we got for regular ass news. Let's talk about movie suggestion for the week, and that is the Holy Trilogy. Go watch the 3 first Star Wars movies. Remind yourself why you fell in love with that franchise. If you've never seen them, then maybe you'll understand why all the, quote, haters are a little upset about the current state of Star Wars, because those movies are great. Very specifically, Empire Strikes Back, probably one of the greatest movies ever freaking made. So if you haven't, go watch it. If you haven't for a while, go watch it again. If you keep it on rotation, good on you. And that brings us to none other than the rumor mill. We got some I Know What You Did Last Summer correction, the refutation, I guess is what we call it in the rumor mill. We got Superman Legacy also in the refutation category. We have some gaming stuff to talk about in new rumors. Let's get into it. First up is I Know What You Did Last Summer. We talked previously about the fact that Freddie Prinze Jr. and Sarah Michelle Gellar, I think is how we're supposed to say her name now, were said to be returning for their roles in the reboot movie that still may or may not be a series also or related. I don't know. It's so murky right now because we're so early in development for these things. But Freddie Prinze Jr. recently said that he actually hasn't been contacted by the people making this new movie. And so as it stands, at least according to him right now, he's not going to be in the movie. And I believe he even said in this same interview that not even Sarah Michelle Gellar was going to be in the new movie. So I don't know. Is he purposefully gaslighting in order to, fooled you, here I am in the movie? Don't know. We'll keep tabs. Let's keep going. Next is Superman Legacy. This one we didn't even talk about this rumor because this is one of those rumors that's like, yeah, that's not fun to talk about. They might be casting Superman. Cool. So James Gunn was asked specifically about, their recently leakers, specifically Grace Randolph, I believe, said that they're going to be casting somebody in their 20s to 30s to play Superman and Lois, and I think maybe one or two other Lex, maybe, characters for the movie. James Gunn was asked directly, came out directly and said, I don't have a casting director, so how could I be trying to cast actors if I don't have somebody in the role that casts actors? There you go. Not happening. That's not to say that that's not where it's going to go. That's not to say that he didn't run those numbers by somebody who then ran them by whoever the leaker is that Grace knows that's close to the situation. All of this is possible, but as it stands right now, officially, they are not casting Superman for Superman Legacy. So there you go. And then we have two new rumors for the episode. First one is Animal Man. Speaking of James Gunn and such, Animal Man is being rumored to be in development for a series over on HBO Max. This one I'm giving a 55%. I don't necessarily like the source, but Animal Man is just obscure enough to have at least some sort of name recognition amongst the hardcore nerdy fandom. And they're the types to go, hey, I remember Animal Man. He's been in a couple of things with some other characters, and I maybe read a book or two of his. Not exactly super familiar with him, but it is what it is. And also, he's an interesting enough character that James Gunn could go, I can do something with that, because notoriously, he kind of does stuff with really obscure random characters. Polka Dot Man, anyone? No? Okay. So I can see a little bit of merit in this, specifically because of James Gunn's past. So we're giving this slightly better than halfway, because halfway means it's not, we don't know one way or the other. I'm going to say 55% likely that Animal Man is going to be turned into a series over on HBO Max. And then our other rumor has to do with Game Pass. We're talking gaming on Xbox specifically. Xbox is going to be getting a Nintendo game on Game Pass? Apparently. So according to the rumor, Shin Megami Tensei 5 is rumored to be coming to Game Pass over on the Xbox platforms, or Microsoft platforms, I guess. So specifically, I'm talking about Game Pass, which exists on technically exists on the Xbox One, also the Xbox Series consoles, also Xbox Live on your PC. So I'm giving this one 80% because the rumor comes from a source that has an amazing track record. Usually gaming rumors have been coming true as we've been covering them. So yeah, 80% likely that we're going to see Shin Megami Tensei on Game Pass for Microsoft in the near future. And nerds, if you are lost, where did all of these follow-ups come from? What's going on with all this stuff? That means you're missing out on older episodes. So definitely go check out one of those. You can follow the link right here showing up on the screen if you're on YouTube or whatever. Otherwise, don't forget to like, subscribe, share, do all of the things. I appreciate your faces, nerds. Thank you very much for seeing the next one before we go. Always remember that if it's generally nerdy, it's probably here.